The Premier Bowl, race number 8 on the 10-race card features Wellington, of course, the Chairman Sprint Prize winner at the back end of last season. He's had 2 trials leading into Sunday. Skyfield comes into the race for Keith Young, who's picked up the ride stronger. Courier Wonder's back, and he's got the hood going on. He ran 5th in this race last year. Last year's winner was Lucky Patch, De Souza and Pierung. Computer Patch is back from Courier, where he didn't enjoy the deep sand track there. Sight success. Lucky Swain S for Zach Purton, drawn wide in barrier 11. Cordyceps 6 was beaten first up, but here he is second up. Master 8, Duke Y, and Fantastic Treasure, a last start winner down in Class 2 for David Hayes and Matthew Chadwick. Righto, let's have a look at the speed map here, and we can bring that up for you for the Premier Bowl. And as we see them go here from the start, Nick, what does Computer Patch do? Because he's a horse that has been going back recently, but does he lead with maybe no alternate leader in the race? What about Master 8?
Yeah, you know, he might do, Computer Patch. Obviously, Lucky Swain S is drawn wide, so there's a little bit of a sort of a conundrum for him to overcome early doors. As for Master 8, well, like you say, he's a horse who has got plenty of pace. He's drawn 3 as well, so they could make good use of Master 8, I think, and press forward. And it wouldn't be beyond the realms, Paul, to see Courier Wonder back in action, press on as well. He can also race handy.
Yeah, he has gone back in a couple of his trials as well, so there is a little query on Courier Wonder. But look, Computer Patch, he's drawn 9. I think he's got no choice but to go on. Lucky Swain S is drawn outside him, so that's why I think the 2, just the way the barrier draws have fallen, I think Computer Patch hasn't got much choice. Master 8 will get a perfect trail. Cordyceps 6, Wellington should get nice runs as well. Skyfield is better when he goes back.
Yes, and of course Skyfield raced a lot handier in the National Day sprint there down at the straight. Past winners of this race, Nick, well, Lucky Patch, he was the informed horse going into International Day last year, but some good names there, the likes of Seasons Bloom and Hot King Prawn as well, Mr Stunning.
Yeah, he was good last year, wasn't he, Lucky Patch? One off a mark of 109. He's a bit higher in the weights this time in, and obviously some good names on there. Hot King Prawn certainly won. Obviously, he was a super horse on his day.
Yeah, a Group 1 winner, so good horses win this race.
Yep, they certainly do. Well, we can hear from a good horse leading into this year's edition of the Premier Bowl. It is Zach Purton. He's riding Lucky Swain S for trainer Manfred Mann.
Zach, Lucky Swain S is your ride in the big race this Sunday, the Premier Bowl. He's a horse very much on the up, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly keeps raising the bar every start. He was impressive last time with no weight on his back. Carries a little bit more this time around, and he's drawn really awkward, so it's a big task ahead of him, but you know, he deserves his place in the field, and see how he goes.
You're obviously unable to ride him last time. You would have obviously looked back on that race, I'm sure, and obviously had a good handle on the form. What was your impression of that performance from him?
It was certainly impressive. You know, he was slow out of the gate. Had to do a lot of work in the early and mid stages to get the position that he had in a really fast run race, and then he accelerated, you know, very nicely when he was asked, and put them to bed. So, you know, he couldn't have been any more impressive, really.
What of his recent trials, Zach? I mean, you've had a sit on him since then, of course, and he looked to be really good in that trial.
Yeah, he was just a little bit grubby coming out of the gates. He didn't fly. He's got that tendency. It's probably one of the only things he sort of does wrong. He doesn't always hit the ground running, so he needs to get that right from a bad gate.
Talking of his gait, now I went back and had a look at his run 2 starts ago when you rode him. Now he mustered quickly and he got to the lead. And is that necessarily something he has to do, or can he take a lead? I mean, from your gait, what's your train of thought going into the race?
It's just to get him out the gates first, and then see what happens. This is a different race. We're up against different horses. It's a different class of race, so there's going to be a lot more pressure, I would assume. I
guess there's a bit obviously against him. Like you say, he's unproven in this type of grade. I mean, I know Manfred's always had a decent opinion of him, and having spoke to you about him a few times, I mean, he was doing noticeable things wrong early doors. Do you feel that now he's becoming more the finished article?
I wouldn't say he's a finished article yet. He, like I said, he can clean up his manners, getting out the gates a little bit better, and he's got that tendency to want to hang in the straight. So, you know, they're the 2 things that you need to help him with, but everything else he's pretty good. He gets it right.
6 wins from 8 starts so far for Lucky Swain S. We can head back and look at the Chief Executive's Cup now, going back to the first meeting of the season. Here he is up near the pace. Coming through the Chief Executive's Cup as well was Duke Y. He was held up behind them. He got, of course, knocked over. Lucky Patch out wider, and also Skyfield further out on the track here. Paul, we heard from Zach before. He hasn't exactly been a gun out of the gate. He does take a little bit of riding early, Lucky Swainess.
Yeah, he does a couple of things wrong. You can see that hanging tendency he's got as well. You have to be on his A game here because he's up against the big boys, but you can see him just running in a little bit. Look, he won easy enough. He was well clear, and he had his other horse covered really well. Skyfield would have come on a lot from his run, but it was pretty impressive. He did win nicely, albeit do a few things wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Look, he's still very immature, I think, isn't he? But he's clearly a very nice horse, and the stats don't lie. They tell a good story.
They certainly do. A son of Swainess, out of a good race mare in Madonna Mare, and just a 4-year-old who looks a very progressive sprinter. Such a good turn of foot over the final stages as well for Lucky Swainess. We can continue on and to have a look at our preview of the Premier Bowl, and here we've got them down the straight in the National Day Cup. There's Cordyceps 6, of course. He failed first up. He ran second, but he's not really a first-up horse. Lucky Patch there as well. Stronger behind Skyfield at this point, who raced a lot handier. And on the outside rail is Master 8 in this race here. And Nick, he's a potential candidate to lead, possibly, Master 8?
Yeah, I think so. He's always shown good speed, hasn't he? And he can certainly put himself there on the pace. He's wearing a tongue tie for the first time as well, which I thought was quite interesting, especially for a sprinter, because they obviously try and do it sometimes in one breath, don't they? So a bit of help there won't go amiss. I thought the run in this race possibly Skyfield, but take nothing away from Cordyceps 6 there, Paul. He looks like he's carrying on as he finished last season.
Yeah, look, and he's got the conditions of the race to suit. He comes in with the lightest weight as well, Cordyceps 6, so he's a big chance in this race. He's got to go in, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's really too much between Cordyceps 6 and also Lucky Swainess in this race. We saw Skyfield there. He was 50-50 to come into this race, Skyfield, according to his trainer Casper Founds, but this was the piece of work he was happy with, so they pressed forward to accepting.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see Keith Young aboard here getting a feel for the horse, and he's obviously going to ride him on race day, so a good pick up from Keith. He's drawn nicely in barrier 4, but look, I think they'll hold him up, Skyfield. They did go forward last time, but I think he's a better horse held up. That's him in the middle, if you're looking there, in the blue saddlecloth.
Yeah, nice bit of controlled work and great opportunity for Keith as well. Just to reiterate, obviously, what Paul just said, this is a big opportunity for him, and be nice to see him land a big prize.
Yeah, of course, the handicap conditions, they don't make it easy for him. Now we can see held up behind them here at the top of the straight is Fantastic Treasure. Nick, is he an interesting horse coming into this with his light weight, because he has shown he's certainly progressive?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he's got cheek pieces on for the second time, and obviously he had a bit of a slump in form last term. Didn't manage to win from half a dozen. He had issues, but great to see him back with this win. This was a Class 2 handicap. This is a Group 2 handicap, so it's a different kettle of fish entirely, Paul. But David Hayes has made no secret that he's a very, very good horse. Yeah,
and he looked good last season, and sort of just went off a bit, with it, with his issues and stuff. But it's good to see him back. So look, he's in. He adds a bit more to this race, doesn't he, with the lightweight?
Go back to last season, the Champions Day. Chairman's Sprint Prize here is Wellington in the race as well. You've got Computer Patch. They have been going back on him in races. Computer Patch. You've also got Sight Success, who was handy to the speed. Skyfield behind them. Lucky Patch and Stronger further out on the track in the Chairman's Sprint Prize. He was just the horse that they couldn't really beat at the back end of last season, Paul Wellington.
Exactly. Look, he's got the conditions against him, has to carry the big weight, but one thing in his favour is he's got a really good fresh up record. I like the fact they've given him 2 trials leading into this as well, and look, he's only 2 pounds above his last season's weight, so he looks spot on for me. I think he can win this race. Yeah,
no, I agree. Look, those trials have been phenomenal, and they've made no secret that they have started earlier. And I mean, yeah, if you take the trials form and the fresh form, he's going to be a force.
And we can see the trial here. He's out wide on the track, a fair way off the pacemaker in this trial, who was WizKid, but also in the trial is Sight Success. He was closer to the pace. And this horse back in the pack here, Courier Wonder, Nick. I wonder if they changed the tactics on him, because his recent 3 trials, he's all gone back, and I think he's been finishing off his trials better.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? And it'd be great to see him bounce back to form. 273 days since he last raced. So he's another one that's had a bit of an interrupted preparation. He's a Group 3 winner, let's not forget, so he's got plenty of class. But you've really got to love the way that Wellington closes off in this trial under a nice hold pull, and he looks ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? And look, this is one of the 2 trials he's had, and really stretched out well. The other horse, Sight Success, I fear for him from barrier 12.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for him from out there. So we've seen all of the clues for the Premier Bowl of 2022. With all that in mind, Paul, who you were siding with?
Yeah, really good race. So I'm going to go with the Group 1 winner, though, Wellington. I know he's got to carry the weight, but geez, the trials have been good, and we know he's a class horse. Lucky Sweynesse, he's the up-and-comer along with Cordyceps 6, so the other two trying to knock him off his crown. And we'll give Courier Wonder a chance in there for fourth, see how they ride him. 1-8-9-4.
Yeah, I'm with Paul here. I think the class might just shine through with Wellington. He's a real class act. He's a 3-time Group 1 winner, let's not forget. And he really has looked primed and ready for this first up run. So Wellington on top over Lucky Sweynesse, who's clearly a very smart horse. They put him up 14 points, but I think he'll continue to climb the ladder. Cordyceps 6 in for third. He looks to be in very good form. And Skyfield, I thought, was a good run last time out, and he's a decent price as well. 1-8-9-2.